Good afternoon. Thank you all very much. Good afternoon. Thank you, Nancy Keenan, for your kind introduction, for your tremendous leadership. I first met Nancy Keenan when she was an official in Montana, and I saw her fighting spirit then. We are very blessed that she heads up NARAL, Pro-Choice America, because she comes to that position not only with that conviction about a woman's right to choose, but an authority on heartland values in our country that makes her a very, very legitimate spokesperson. When she speaks, people listen, and she speaks quite often on the subject. So, Nancy, welcome to San Francisco, and thank you for referencing Geraldine Ferraro. Jackie and I have the privilege of sharing the representation of San Francisco in the Congress. 1984, I was the chair of the Democratic Convention Host Committee. As an Italian-American, I was thrilled that we were having the chair of the Platform Committee, another Italian Catholic, Geraldine Ferraro, as the chair of the Platform Committee, and Mario Cuomo as the keynote speaker. All of us Italian-American Catholics from conservative backgrounds, not politically conservative, but from religious backgrounds, all of us very pro-choice. So when Geraldine became the nominee, you can just imagine. You can just imagine. And for any of you who were there, and I think some of you may have been there, maybe somebody on the other floor. I know that my friend Dagmar Dolby is probably on the other floor, because I didn't see her stand up here. But in any event, for any of you who might have been at that convention, when Geraldine stood up there and accepted that nomination as the first woman to be on a national ticket, a member of Congress, pro-choice, the thunderous response that she received, it was unbelievable in the hall. It was thunderous and sustained. It was a tearful moment. And that thunderous drumbeat went across America. And now she has left us, but her legacy lives on. And my daughter showed me a letter. A few years after that, I ran for Congress, and my daughter showed me a letter that she saved that Geraldine had sent on March 24th, 1987, asking people to vote for me for Congress because of my position on reproductive rights. She just had this as a priority every step of the way. So thank you for acknowledging what a great leader Nancy, what a great leader Geraldine was. I will bring those thoughts to her family this week in New York. I came in just as Jackie was beginning her remarks. I tell you, she told the story very well. But for those of us who are on the floor, you had to, I'm going to talk about time. Because Jackie was at the podium. The rest of us were pacing, trying to contain our anger over the remarks that were being said. But she was calm. She was cool. And she didn't have much time to make this decision. She heard. She spoke. Silence. I'll tell you, I don't know anybody else who would have had the courage to say what she said. We were all in tears. But the fact that she knew instinctively that she had to make that choice, to make that decision, so that other women could have their choice in their life's decisions. It was a remarkable, remarkable occasion. And I mean, really, as I said, we were again all in tears when she spoke, because the generosity of spirit, the commitment to the issue, nothing could demonstrate it more than the in-time decision she made, in real-time decision she made to speak. So Jackie, we've always been proud of you, but you really just changed the debate in such a significant way. Thank you, Jackie Steele. Okay, I want to say a couple things. It has been indicated in some of the remarks that there's a need to awaken people to the challenge of that is going on in Washington, D.C. and state houses across the country about the issue of a woman's right to choose. There has never been a need to awaken NARAL to the need to do that. You have always been totally vigilant, NARAL, Pro-Choice America, Nancy Keenan, and others, always been vigilant on the subject. One thing has been hard, though, to convince the American people, and now I've been in Congress a couple of decades. For a long time, I've been trying to convince people that our colleagues in the Congress are not just about at the issue of abortion. They don't support family planning. People never would believe that. They thought we were exaggerating. They don't support family planning. How could it be? How out of touch could they be? But now the public will see. And maybe it had to come to this. I'm so sad about it, but maybe it had to come to this so that the country can see this is about a limitation of your freedom, women, and your families. We in government like to think of us as expanding freedom for the American people. That's why we were so proud when we had a new president who would sign the bill, that the first bill he signed was Lilly Ledbetter to end discrimination in the workplace. Expanding freedom. And one of the last bills he signed in the last Congress was to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Expanding freedom, ending discrimination in the military. So, when this new Congress came in a matter of days, instead of expanding freedom, instead of creating jobs, as Jackie has said, that's what the point she was going to make. We're supposed to be talking about jobs, and you're talking about something else. The first, maybe out of the first handful of bills that they put forth and passed, these bills were about narrowing a woman's right to choose. First of all, they wanted to repeal health care and all that that means for women. Under that bill, being a woman is no longer a pre-existing medical condition, as Jackie indicated earlier. Very important. Very important. The access to quality health care that women will have to make them healthier and their families healthier, it was one way to come at women's freedom. I remember when I was a young mom and I had 5 kids, I called my health insurance person to say if I had this coverage or that, and he said, I don't even know how you got health insurance with 5 kids. You're a poor risk. I said, for a poor risk, I think I showed my strength by having 5 children. But that's how they are. And so that if you've had a C-section or something, you have a pre-existing medical condition. Not anymore. But so, okay, repeal health care. The next thing they wanted to do was, and Nancy referred to some of it, it's so absolutely ridiculous, redefining rape, redefining incest, just putting an age on it. And can you imagine that? If you're 18 in some states, you're 16 in other states, it's not incest anymore. Forgetting the medical consequences of all of that. And of course, you know, as I said, forcible rape. Forcible rape? Forcible rape, that's how they want it to be defined. Isn't that the same thing? I don't get it. But then the third, as Nancy indicated, that if you could be in a hospital, you could be with your life at risk, but they would not have to save your life and terminate a pregnancy. So there's a great deal at risk. That's 1, 2, and then with their budget bill, cutting back on funding for family planning and all of the other women's reproductive health aspects of family planning. Repeal health care, redefine rape, incest, and life of the mother terminology, and cutting back on family planning. This is, I mean, I don't know whether we need a lesson in the birds and the bees. If you don't want to terminate a pregnancy, you might want to prevent it. I don't know. I've had this fight on the floor with them for a long time, and as a Catholic and as a mother of 5 children in 6 years, I know what they call people who use the rhythm system, mama and dada. but they wouldn't even cooperate with us when we wanted to expand access to that. Even if one day on the floor they said to me, they got up and they said, Nancy Pelosi thinks she knows more about having babies than the Pope. And this is all funny, but this is how they think. So this is how they think. So that's why when Jackie Spear, and God bless us all for having her there at that moment, because she said she went over the edge. I heard her use that expression. She didn't go over the edge. She was as calm, strong as they come, and stopped them in their tracks. While they were speaking, you were thinking, something's wrong with these people. Why are they relishing this debate and this conversation? And, right, Jackie, the manner in which they were saying it was, something's wrong with this. But what's wrong with it is that it does curtail, it is a war on women, and it does curtail our timing and size of our families, and now, of course, for me, my children, my grandchildren, and the rest of that. But we have important policy work to do. And I'm here to say thank you and acknowledge the leadership of Priscilla Giesland for chairing all of this. I mentioned my good friend Dagmar Dolby for being so persistent on this issue. I congratulate Janya Nahiro for getting her award, and I'm glad you feel better now about not chairing the event. Lunch isn't over yet. And Katie Stack getting the Speak Out for Choice Award, and Jessica Valenti, the future in terms of all of this and how we speak about it to the future. And Nancy talked about young people, those born in 1980. I had my last baby in 1970, so you can imagine how out of it I felt when she was talking about that. But that's really what it's about. It's about the future. And I'm telling you, because I've just come from Iowa, Texas, Arizona this week. All across the country, the response is tremendous. This is one issue that the people really get. They understand it. You can try to talk about budget and this and blah, blah, blah. Family planning. No, people really get this. So the response to those, as Nancy said, 1,000 people a day, oh my gosh. And just think when you leave here how much that's going to be expanded under her direction. This is the response we're getting in our party, in other pro-choice organizations and the rest. People for the American Way, any entity that has been out there to talk about freedom for the American people. So all of you who are here today, forgive me for indulging my personal experiences on the floor of the House and with our colleagues, but you really, if we were there on a day-to-day basis and see how they fight in subcommittee and full committee and on the floor to curtail a woman's right to choose to the point of depriving women of family planning, does that give you any picture of what their mentality is? And any picture of how insulting they know they must be to women by advocating public policy in that regard. So to NARAL, I come here, NARAL Pro-Choice America, I come here to say thank you. To all of you, many of you I know have supported NARAL Pro-Choice over the years. I thank you, because in doing so, you are having an impact. As Geraldine Ferraro would say, I want to talk about issues that have an impact on the daily lives of women in America. And really, nothing has more of an impact than this. So thank you for the difference that you are making, that you will make, and it's a challenge to us to make the fight in a way that shows the quality of our thinking, the responsibility that we know we have, as opposed to an ideological harangue that the other side is engaged in. I like to study motivation and see how people vote or think the way they do. I like to be really respectful of their point of view. The only thing I don't respect is their intolerance of somebody else's point of view, especially of women when they want to choose how they live their lives. So thank you for what you do to give women all of that opportunity and for giving me the chance to say hello to you today. Thank you.